Hi everyone, and welcome to another video tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to be using the fprintf statement in Matlab and Octave. Fprintf is a really helpful command for displaying information such as text and the values for variables to the user. So let's go ahead and get started. I have a .m file open right now in Octave in my editor tab, and I've just typed 3 lines so far. I've assigned values for 3 different variables, A, B, and C, and I've tried to create different variable types. Our first assignment, A equals 1, assigns an integer to A. An integer is simply a whole number like 0 or -10 or 100. For B, I've assigned a floating point number. In programming, a floating point number is essentially a decimal number. For C, I've assigned a string, and we denote strings in Matlab and Octave with quotation marks around them. A string is essentially a collection of characters. I've suppressed the output for all 3 of these lines with a semicolon on the end. What this means is that when I save my file and run my code, navigate over to the command window, you can see that our output is suppressed. This is helpful because the only output that I would like to show the user is with an fprintf statement that I'm going to create right now. I'm going to start off by typing fprintf. The first argument for fprintf is going to be in quotation marks, and this is the text and the variables that I would like to display to the user. So I'll show you how I'm going to create that right now. I want to tell the user, hello there, the value for A is 1 and the value for B is 9.88. In order to do this, I'm going to first start off by typing %s because I'd like to grab this hello there for my fprintf statement. So hello there is going to go in place of %s. The %s simply denotes that I would like to substitute in a string value right here. So we're going to type hello there, the value for A is. Now here I'm going to type %i because I would like to substitute an integer value in spot of this %i sign. Now I'm going to type and the value for B is, and I'm going to type %.2f. This is going to display a floating point number to 2 decimal places because I've typed the number 2 here. I could display B to 4 decimal places as it's written by typing %.4f. But for the purpose of this example, we'll just use 2 decimal places. Now I'm going to close my quotations and move on to my next arguments. The following arguments for fprintf are going to be the variables that we would like to substitute in place of our % signs. Our very first one is %f, and the value that we would like to substitute in here is the value for our variable c. So I'm just going to type c. The next value that we would like to substitute in for %i is going to be our value for a. And then finally, the last value that we need to substitute in is this %.2f. We're going to substitute in the value for B. Now I'm going to close my parentheses to finish up with my fprintf function. Let's go ahead and run the code. I'll navigate over to the command window, and you can see our output. We have, hello there, the value for A is 1, and the value for B is 9.88. Suppose we wanted to create a new line within our fprintf statement. So we want to display on the first line, hello there, the value for A is, and then on the next line, we want to display and the value for B is. So we want to add in a new line right here. In order to do this, I'll type a \n. \n indicates that we want to move on to the next line. It's a carriage return. I'll run my code and navigate over to the command window, and we can compare our output using the \n compared to our original output. Our original output is this line right here. We have everything consolidated on one line. Now here, we're using our carriage return. We're using that \n to display our information to the user on two lines. We have hello there, the value for A is 1. On the next line, we have, and the value for B is 9.88. fprintf is a really helpful function for displaying information to the user. Thanks for watching.